Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to a kind of library tour. It's a piecemeal kind of library tour, but it is doing some good. It is helping me, as library tours tend to do, not only to take stock of what I have, but also to organize it. It worked wonders for the bottom shelf of the area that we're looking at now, this hutch that's built into the wall, which has shelves in it that I don't think were ever intended for books, but of course, being a book person, I have filled them with books and then overfilled them with books because they're kind of out of the way. So you can pile things in here, and I tend to do that. I'm going to jump around a bit on the shelves rather than go strictly, because the actual next shelf here is comic books. Bound collections of comic books, graphic novels, hardcovers, paperbacks, all that sort of thing. And I do want to take stock of these, but this would be 2 or 3 videos. There's so many of them. So I want to stick with books for now. Not just because I'm not sure how many of you are interested in comic books, but also because I want to see where the books are actually cross-stacked and double-stacked. They are messier than the comics. So we'll just move up one shelf here and do this shelf, which I think could do with a good deal of organization, and this will provide it. So the first one we have here is Aviva Gottlieb Zornberg. This is her work, The Beginnings of Desire. This is her wonderful, wonderful reading of the book of Genesis. Just wonderful. Insights on every page. Just an amazing book. We have we have an e-reader. Yes, we have an e-reader. Just a Kindle here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. We have Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is Escape on Venus. There's a lovely maiden and a fish head monster. This is. I grab these whenever I see them. I mentioned this, I think, in the last library tour. These old vintage hardcovers that are lightweight because they're done with scrap paper, and they're this neat little size. I love them. I don't know why. I just do. I think they're so wonderful to read. They're almost a mass market paperback, sometimes lighter than a mass market paperback. This is a Carson Napier book. This is the Carson of Venus books from Edgar Rice Burroughs. And it says on the cover, the 1946 Burroughs novel, and it is from 1946. I found this for, like, $3 at the Brattle, and it's because I imagine it's not all that collectible. Either way, I would grab the rest of the Venus books if I could in this format, even though the Venus books are not my favorite. They're not my favorite Edgar Rice Burroughs things. Sorry, I've got a bit of a mess going on here, but that's good because this is going to help me fix the mess. Then we have, there's a lot of little hardcovers here. This is A. Hall and Company by Joseph Lincoln. This is yet another old Cape Cod novel of his. What I wouldn't give to find all of Joseph Lincoln in these old hardcovers, these old lightweight hardcovers with the fading pages and the original cover artwork. I would love to find them all. I'd love to find more Joseph Lincoln just in general. He's just wonderful. We have a vintage Nio Marsh. This is Death of a Peer, about a gruesome murder that takes place in an elevator, and a hapless family in the peerage that they don't have any money. They don't really have any sense in the world, and they have a friend of the family, a young woman who has been a friend of the family. She's not part of the family. She's not in their world, but there's a murder, and they're all involved in it. All of this basically is the police doing their job to investigate a murder. There's no stunning sleuth here. What there is you trying to figure out, among other things. This is wonderfully done. It's wonderfully written, and it's the only Nio Marsh that I have in one of these little hardcovers. There's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of human interest that's really interesting. But the main machinery of the plot is you trying to figure out how it happened. What rooms connect immediately to what other rooms, where in the hallway the elevator is, where it was at the time of the murder, who had any chance of being there, and whatnot. And that involves constantly re-interrogating the people who were there when the murder happened. I found it spellbinding. I read it while I was up in Vermont one time. Another little hardcover. This is Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. This is just a classic old Tarzan novel. I grab these when I see them. They're They're wonderful. I have all of Tarzan. I have all of Tarzan, and I have all of Tarzan and Carson and Venus and everything else Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote as ebooks, and that's the most convenient thing. That is the way that I tend to read. On specifically, do I have one here? Yeah, on an old Kindle Oasis. The Kindle Oasis has the metal backing, so it feels like you're reading Star Trek. Actually, in this case, I was reading Star Trek. It has this recess here for the grip. The Kindle Oasis was, unfortunately, in the last Kindle announcement Raleigh, it was not renewed. They're not making... Everyone was kind of hoping, since everyone loves the Kindle Oasis, everyone was kind of hoping that it would get an upgrade. Seems fairly natural to me, but it didn't get one. They're not... It's discontinued instead. They're not making the Kindle Oasis anymore. I would, in lieu of that, I would really like it if they would put an aluminum backing on a normal Kindle. That would be wonderful. That would be very Star Trek-y. But anyway, let's move on here. Okay, so we have Hudson Douglas, A Million a Minute. This is another old hardcover, and this is another old author who, like Joseph Lincoln, although not Niall Marsh or Edgar Rice Burroughs, thank God, but like Joseph Lincoln, this author has faded completely. This author was fairly successful. I mean, you had to know the author's books when you were working in a bookstore. We have a YA book, The Music of Dolphins by Karen Hess. This starts off with the very primitive journal of a girl who is found by a research team living with dolphins in the open ocean. And they take her in, of course, and as she grows used to the human world, her journal gets more concise, more adult, and it's really, really touching. It's really, really good. Okay. Okay. All right, we have a little box set here. This is the best of Homer. We're leaving out the worst of Homer and his mediocre efforts. We're just sticking with these two hits of his, the Iliad and the Odyssey. And these are, I believe, the Samuel Butler translation. Yeah, these are the Samuel Butler translation of the Iliad, which is prose and contestable prose. Let's just say it's not always possible to love Butler's choices. It's just a little box set of those. What on earth? Okay, we have a bird book. This is by David Bellows and Barbara Held. This is Gus, A Bird's Life in his own words, which is full of... It's got pictures in it of what it was like to live with this little parakeet. They're very, very smart. I used to have one, and they're very, very smart. I used to spend time with my parakeet. This was eons ago. God help us, 50 years ago. I used to spend time with my parakeet. I never let him out of the cage. I never trusted that my dogs wouldn't kill him. So I never let him out of the cage, and that bothered me. But I would go to the cage, open the little door, and just put my face there, and he would come over and peck at my nose, and I would brush his head. He would grip my finger with his little foot and try to hold on to it, and we would pull it back and forth. I would spend an hour doing that. Sometimes more than that. Sometimes I'd break it up. Half an hour here, half an hour there, half an hour there, just to let him know all through the day, to break up his day and let him know that there was someone there that cares about him. I don't know how to communicate with parakeets. I have no idea. But it quickly became apparent to me that he was considerably more intelligent than my beagles. And I guess that's just a species thing. I guess that's just an avian thing. Birds are freakishly smart. I used to joke with him. I said it in English because I have no idea how to talk to a bird, or I would definitely give an earful to my sparrows. But I used to quietly say to him, "Please keep that to yourself. I am obliged to favor them." Anyway, let's move on here. We have a trade paperback of Henry Beetlehuff's Country Editor. I've already seen this book on a library tour. I have a hardcover copy of this book in the little book room, but I like the way this looks like the masthead of the Vineyard Gazette, so I have the two copies. I don't think that's much of an extravagance considering all the duplication here elsewhere. This is Philip Kerr. He edited the Penguin Book of Lies. This is wonderful. It's actually laugh out loud funny just to read through this. It's fiction and nonfiction, deceit in all its forms. Just a wonderful anthology. I can only imagine how much work it took to bring this all together and get all the copyrights sorted and everything like that. But it's a great anthology. It really doesn't belong just sort of moldering out here in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. But A lot of these books don't. That's going to be the benefit of this, is that I'm going to organize. I am going to organize. I promise that I am. Okay, then we have these McNally editions. I think we saw these on this channel. These things, these paperback McNally editions. We have Constant Reader, the New Yorker columns of Dorothy Parker. We have New York Sketches by E.B. White, these minimalistic trade paperbacks that they brought out. And we have, especially, this is wonderful, Office Politics by Wilfred Sheet, which is just great. I was so happy to see this given any kind of a second life. That is just wonderful. Wilfred Sheet is a minor favorite of mine, and he is, of course, completely gone. Except not completely gone now. Office Politics is in print. You can actually get it. Okay, another kid's book. We have Bicula. An absolutely classic book, justifiably so, about an evil bunny? Or is it an evil bunny? We have another old hardcover. This is The Captain from Connecticut by C.S. Forster. These vintage old hardcovers are always attractive to me. I always grab them. This is not a Hornblower novel, but it's still really, really good. We have Arthur Train. I think we've seen him on this channel before, but for a work of nonfiction, A History of America, that he wrote that no one knows about anymore. But he was famous in his day for Tutt, a character named Tutt, a lawyer, simple country lawyer, full of common sense and normal human insights, not much in the way of the law. And when these came out, these were, I think, in the late 20s and early 30s. No, the mid 30s. That really caught on. Tutt became very, very popular. There were a whole bunch of Tutt books. And I used to have a whole bunch of Tutt books, but I think I only have one now. Well, we'll find out. I think this is it. Old Man Tutt, I think, is the only Tutt book that I have. It's difficult to describe the appeal. I think that if you were a thoroughly 21st century audience now and you read a Tutt book, you honestly wouldn't know what you were reading. You certainly wouldn't be able to guess why this was ever popular. And maybe that's justifiable. Maybe the sensibilities have simply changed. People hate lawyers, justifiably so. So I don't know that you could ever bring it back. Okay, then we have The Saint. This is Leslie Charteris. This is Senor Saint, where he goes to Mexico, I believe. Is that right? Where you go to Mexico, or maybe... In these 4 Latin American adventures, the swashbuckling saint takes both the Baedeker and the back alley approach to sightseeing and deals devastatingly with beautiful blondes, romantic matrons, professional revolutionaries, and archaeological confidence tricksters. This is 4 stories. I think one of these takes place in Mexico. But this is Simon Templar. He's a terrific, terrific character. And these kinds of books, I honestly can't get enough of them. I never see them. They're, I think, collectible now. Another example of why collectible ruins everything. But this is lightweight. It's virtually the size of a mass market paperback. Just wonderfully durable. Let's see what this next one is. Oh. Okay, great. This is another Joseph Lincoln. This is The Peel Trait. Just another one of his old Cape Cod novels. When you were a Joseph Lincoln reader, this came out in 1930s? 1944. Oh, no, 1925. When you were a Joseph Lincoln reader back then, you would look at this book. You'd say, the new Joseph Lincoln. Okay, so you're going to get it anyway because you love his stories. But you would look at this book and you would see a Cape Cod Old Salt, and you would know right away that you were in familiar Joseph Lincoln territory. Okay, so I have 2 of those. That's great. All right, Earl Stanley Gardner. We have a Perry Mason novel in one of these old hardcovers. This is The Case of the Fan Dancer's Horse, where Perry Mason and Della Street just happened to see a street accident. And the stuff that's in the car doesn't make sense. Someone might need a lawyer. Again, I don't know. I mean, Perry Mason in these stories, it's amazing to read. There's almost nothing here but dialogue. The Perry Mason novels are pure plot, where the characters are only talking to each other to get the plot moving, to keep the plot moving. We learn almost nothing in like 100 novels. We learn almost nothing about Perry Mason as a man. We learn almost nothing about his incredibly competent assistant, Della Street. We learn almost nothing about anything in here. You get little bits and pieces of the West Coast from nearly a century ago, but they're all plot, just completely plot. I mean, I mentioned on this channel a few times that I have run through all of the Nero Wolfe novels of Rex Stout, and that I'm looking for another series and wondering what it will be. And a number of you suggested Perry Mason, and that's a good suggestion because that's probably what I'm going to do. I think this is the only hardcover that I have of Perry Mason. I think it's the only book, actual print book, that I have of Perry Mason at all. Okay. Then we have these 2 volumes. These are they are examples of a precept that I use at my bookstore, the Brattle Bookshop, but that precept has not paid out as yet. This is by R.H. Blythe, and these are volumes of haiku for the seasons. So this is a volume for autumn and winter. This is volume 4. And this is a volume for spring, volume 2. There are 2 other volumes that I got these, of course, I got them at the shop, and I actually went through them. They're actually very, very well curated. And there's lots of attention being given to detail in here. They're really good haiku collections. And I got them for that reason. Okay, just to be sure. But when I got them and saw that it was volume 4 and volume 2, my immediate thought was, well, get them, because one precept at the Brattle is that if you find part of a set, don't leave it behind and be prissy. Get the part of the set, because the other part will eventually come up from the basement and be put either into the shop or into the sale lot. And where will the parts that you left behind be at that point? They'll be long gone. So I did that. I mean, I wanted these anyway, just for themselves. And the autumn-winter thing, that was I liked it more than the spring volume, even though the spring volume, I think, technically has more artistry involved. But it wasn't just the autumn-winter part of the book that I liked. It was the winter part. The winter haiku in here are amazing. But I have all the while been looking for the other 2 volumes, and they have not occurred. So maybe I am destined to have an incomplete set. God only knows what these things would cost if I went to eBay to try to get volume 1 and volume 3. God only knows. I don't want to know. What is this next one here? Okay. This is the old Past and Present series. This is Pompei and Herculanium. It's spiral bound, but with the leather covering over there. And what you get here is very typical. You will know it. You get a location in one of these dead and buried cities, and then you get a reconstruction of what it looked like, with the reconstruction laying over the parts that are, see, you've got holes there. The reconstruction is laying over the parts that we know and showing you the parts that are missing. So here you have a street, and that is what it looked like. I think they're fascinating. I like that approach more than any other to Pompeii or any other place. This gimmick was adopted about 10 years after these books came out by bigger hardcovers that were a hit at my bookstore. Largely thanks to me. I made sure that customers knew they were there. So, because they are eye-opening. They are a perfect, immediate way to get into history. Okay, then we have an anthology. This is the Oxford Book of Aphorisms, assembled by John Gross. This is all just clever sayings that you've got Dr. Johnson, Montesquieu, Anatole France, Emerson, Samuel Butler. What does Samuel Butler have to say for himself? A client is fain to hire a lawyer to keep from the injury of other lawyers, as Christians that travel to Turkey are forced to hire janissaries to protect them from the insolence of other Turks. Okay. What about Dr. Johnson? Lawful and settled authority is seldom resisted when it is well employed. Well, you take the wheat with the chaff with something like this, but I love anthologies like that anyway. Once upon a time, when I had a desk, when I used to work at a desk, I had the head of my desk, the top of my desk, had a shelf of books like that. The reference works that I use the most, a Little American Heritage Dictionary, an even smaller Simple Spelling Dictionary, where I'm not worried about the etymology or the pronunciation or the different definitions. I just want to know how to spell the word. And also at my desk, there was also a bookcase right next to it, and that bookcase had normal books on it, but the 2 shelves directly at my arm length, directly at my shoulder height, were reference works as well. And something like this would have been there. Absolutely. You never know what kind of use you're going to get. Like, for instance, if I'm reading along and some author is being a bonehead, and it's reminding me of something. It's reminding me of a funny quote, some funny quip about a bonehead in that circumstance. Well, I won't remember it. And keep in mind, there's no internet. Those of you who were born in the 21st century, you won't have any idea. There was no internet. You couldn't just immediately learn it. So you had to assemble a library of reference works that would nudge your memory. And I would think, okay, what do I know about this? Where do I think this quote comes from? And I would find it, because if you're going to use it, uh-oh. Oh, these e-readers are not dead. They have power in them. Wow. Okay, the e-readers are acting up. So this is tucked away up in a corner in a hutch. I don't know why that would be. Oh, okay. I think we saw this already. This is 500 Self-Portraits by Faden. And that's all it is. It's just a collection of self-portraits from artists over the ages. I have the trade paperback of this. Well, forever and ever, I had the hardcover as well. I don't think I have the hardcover. Maybe it's up on a high shelf over there. I don't think I have the hardcover anymore, though. I think I got rid of it. And that's a shame, because the hardcover had a neat gimmick. The hardcover had a dust jacket that was just silvered. Had no design on it. It was just silvered, which meant that when you were looking at it, you were looking at your own self-portrait. You were looking at your reflection, and that was kind of neat. I like to honor cover designs like that. Here is Dante Gabriel Rossetti, looking like a super hottie. Huh? All right, and then the last thing here for this row of books, and I think we have 2 more rows to do of books. And this is by J.G. Links. This is Venice for Pleasure. This is a guidebook to Venice, pictures, photographs, old paintings, lots and lots of text. And it's oblong shaped like this. And once upon a time, this was your guidebook. This was made so that you would tuck it into your luggage and bring it with you when you went to Venice. It was a crowded field. I don't know that books like this are made anymore. I don't know that there's any call for them. When you have apps, you have endless YouTube videos, you have your phone. So I don't know that. Do people buy guidebooks anymore when they're going? If you're going to Malta or Moldavia, do you buy a guidebook? I don't know that you do. Like I said, once upon a time, I worked in a retail bookstore. I worked in a retail bookstore for 25 years, and I thought I detected a distinct drop-off in reference books like dictionaries and thesaurus and whatnot, and also guidebooks. I thought I detected a distinct drop-off in both of those when the internet suddenly became omnipresent, when it was everywhere. I might have been imagining things. I'd have to check with a bookstore, and Boston doesn't have a retail bookstore, so I can't. But I could swear that, I mean, why would you use it anymore? Why would you use any of these big reference works anymore? Like, for instance, on that shelf at my desk, an indispensable thing, something that I used every day, was the Chambers Biographical Dictionary, which was the standard biographical dictionary for a reference library. I'm sure that the Chambers Biographical Dictionary is not made anymore. Why would you need it now, when that's one keystroke away on the very device you're using? It's not like it's a keystroke away on the computer that they have at the library, but you don't have one at home. No, if I were at my desk, I would be working, I would be writing and editing, and I would be using a laptop. I could just look up whatever I want. Same thing with dictionaries. Same thing with that oversized book, the timetables of history, that shows you what was happening when at the same time. I'm sure that there are websites for that go into far more detail than any book could ever do, and that are updated. So I don't know. I didn't mean this shelf to be a hymn of praise to the dead reference library. My setup when I worked at that desk served me well for years. I had my most important reference works right there in front of me. I had the typewriter right there in the middle of the desk. I had the pending work on the left-hand side. The right-hand side was for the very satisfying feeling of piling up the outgoing work. And I had those 2 shelves of reference works, other reference works, right where I could get them, right there at shoulder height on the chair. The rest of the books, the ones behind me, the ones up top, the ones a little below, those were normal books. But I had a very well-oiled reference library, and I guess the remnants of it are on the shelf, but not for long, because that certainly won't hold true for the next shelf. So we will be moving on from here to the next shelf. I'm going to be making a mess. This bottom shelf was clear, but I'm going to be filling it up with a bunch of junk and miscellaneous garbage because I'm going to organize all this when I'm done. But I'm not going to do that until, well, I might do it a little because I've got the Leaning Tower of Pisa here. But I'm not going to do the whole amount of organizing until, yeah, see, this is a mess. Good Lord. Until I have dealt with the whole of this bookshelf, which is going to take, I think, a couple more videos. So I'll wrap this up for now, and we will commence next time. Thank you, BookTube.